All right, guys. So today I'm going to be going over how I took this tattoo studio out in Canada from literally being negative in revenue to having one of the biggest months they've had in a very long time. So the way I did this was pretty simple. They were running ads before, but you could tell they kind of just threw some stuff up and hope it hit, which is something you never want to do when it comes to running ads. You want to have a strategy. You want to know how to set these up. You want to be testing, and that's what I did. That's what I went in there and did. So I'm going to show you guys kind of the results from before they were getting, and then the results after I started running their ads for them. So let's get into it. All right, boys. So we are into the campaign, right? So this is what I'm going to give you guys a breakdown of kind of overall. I'm going to show you guys the leads, the budget, the cost per lead, and then I'm going to actually go into their campaigns and show you guys kind of how they were set up, right? So um, I'm going to be showing you guys this. So as you could see, they did a lifetime budget on this ad. It spent $77. Lifetime budget was 200. I never like to do lifetime budget. Obviously, they were doing this because they don't run ads, right? They're probably busy doing other shit. So they just put a budget on it, let it run, let it rock out, and just kind of let it do its thing. So this one brought in 4 leads. This was $19 per lead. This one and spent 77. This one spent $29. $9 per lead, which was, I mean, not bad, right? $9 per lead. You want to be within like 6 to 12. Um, that's a pretty good cost per lead, right? Especially on high ticket tattoos. This is a very, 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 very high ticket studio. Like I'm talking like 5,000 and up. They don't do really anything less than like 2 grand. Super, super clean work. So that's something to take into consideration as well, right? As we're looking at these. So, I mean, even if they would have closed some of these leads at $19 a lead, that's still really good ROI. But I mean, obviously they were not because they were negative in revenue, right? So we're just looking at them here. This is another one, $26 per lead, $78 spent, 3 leads total, $19 spent, 1 lead. So, and then right here, $52 spent, 2 leads, $26 per lead, right? So these are not the best campaigns. So as you can see, these were just getting no leads, right? These have money spent, just I mean minimal money, right? But this is $20 spent, no leads. So those all got no leads. So boom, we're going, we're going. So this one was pretty good. They ran, did pretty good here. $9 per lead, $286 spent, 31 leads. That's good, right? This one was a guest spot, so this one, of course, probably did really, really well. $679 spent, 70 leads. So the guest spots, the deals, those are all going to do very, very well. This was another campaign that did pretty good. $2,600 spent. That's actually really good. $10 per lead, 246 leads total. As you can see, they don't really have too many campaigns at lower costs per lead. And this one was a raffle they did. So this one did actually really good. $6 per lead, $1,600 spent, 263 leads in. So that wasn't for, some actual tattoo work. That was a raffle they did that did really, really well, they said, right? So now we're going to get into their actual campaigns and kind of how they're running things, right? So as you guys can see, just right off the rip, right? So they did lifetime budget again. They just gonna they got other shit to do, right? So right here, Advantage plus Creative. They had every single enhancement on. Um, that's me personally. I don't like doing that. I think just keeping everything simple, keeping everything just as simple as possible to where it does not take away from the creative itself in the ad. Um, that's kind of the way I've always seen it work. We want people to focus on the tattoo work and people to focus on, the CTA, DM to book now, and, the call outs, Toronto. We want people to more so focus on that rather than have all this visual shit in their way. You know what I mean? Another thing I cannot see on here that I can't get into is their placements. When I went into their campaigns, they had every single placement on. There's no reason for that. And I'm going to get into a campaign that I ran for them, and I'm going to show you guys where I place my ads and how I do my placements, right? You don't want your placements everywhere. You're going to be wasting budget on placements that just are not going to bring in any leads. So now I'm going to get into the campaign that I ran for them. This was the very first one I ran for them. And I just wanted to test things, see how things were going. see if I even need to test anything. The way I set up my tattoo artists tattoo studios campaigns is pretty much all of it is the same. I found what worked with my very first artist. His name's Rob. I'm gonna make a video on his account because all of that is done through me. I'm gonna show you guys how to test and everything really on the back end. So the way I set these up are pretty much always the same, and then I go from there. So right here is the campaign that I ran for them, right? As you guys can see, 114 leads total, $721 spent, and $6 per lead. Now, that is really, really good. One, because this is the first campaign that I ever ran for this studio, and it's high ticket tattoos. So each tattoo that they closed, they booked in that person for $6 only and made, upwards of 2 grand and up. So that's really, really good. So now I'm getting into the ad sets, right? Obviously, I had three different ones running. I can't really remember exactly, right? But I spent $430 on this one, obviously, because it was my winner. So I left it running and scaled it. This one didn't do too bad either. I mean, $8 per lead isn't terrible. And then this one was at $5.59 per lead. So these were really, really good. And this was actually a special we were running. So that's why that did a little bit better. I ran these two first together. And obviously, I saw this one was doing better. So I turned this one off and then put most of the budget into this one and scaled it. So now I'm going to get into the actual, meat and bones of how I set this up. So boom, I'm into the ad set level, right? So I do instant forms, right? Because we're funneling everybody to a Facebook form, maximize number of leads, and we start off at $20 a day. Keep in mind, this studio, they were negative in revenue, so they didn't have much of a budget. We actually got the budget kind of kind of mixed up. There was some miscommunication. I spent a little bit more than, we had planned, but I also made them, a good amount of money. So it ended up not really being too much of an issue. So right here, $20 a day. And I started at 12 a.m., of course. And then since I was going like $20 is decently high, it's not crazy high, right? But it's enough to where I can test a 50-mile radius and it will still hit its audience, right? There is a lot of people in the audience size, but it was still bringing in leads, right? Like this is kind of how I always set up. If I was testing with like $10 or something like that, I would obviously go a little bit narrow it down. So I would go like 30 miles, 25 even, and kind of test it that way. But so I set up to 21 and 55 years old. Advanced detail targeting is on now. This is very crucial. I usually do not have this on, but I was just testing with it, seeing kind of how it did. And it did really well for this campaign. So I usually turn this off just because I like to be in control of everything. I don't really want Meta to do like, reach people beyond your detail targeting selections. That's not just really something I do, but I tested with it and it works. So that's why it's always good to test different things when you are running campaigns for artists or, anybody in general. So placements, right? Now we're into placements. Now we're running this through Facebook and through Instagram. This is key, right? A lot of people will run the ads and they will have all of these selected. That makes no sense. Why are you going to do that? Who's going to see your ad on Facebook notifications? It doesn't make sense. Facebook Business Explorer, like we're not doing that. Messenger inbox, what are we talking about? A lot of people will leave those on, and if you are somebody that, is marketing for businesses, I highly, highly recommend you just narrow the placements down. That way your ad is getting shown just on those placements and you're not spending any money anywhere else. This was a video, right? And my videos and pictures are pretty much the same thing. I just crop them to where they fit. And it comes out really well, right? So Facebook feed, Instagram feed, Facebook video feeds, Explorer Home, Instagram stories, Facebook stories, Instagram reels, and Facebook reels. That is it. That is the only places I am going to place my ads. Why? Because that's where most of the eyeballs are going to be. People are going to be scrolling through their feed. People are going to be scrolling through their reels. People are going to be scrolling through their stories, right? Nobody is going to be Facebook search results. Nobody's gonna really be doing that, right? So I don't want to spend any money on it, right? You want to narrow it down as much as possible, especially when you don't have a crazy high budget. Maybe when you have a crazy high budget, you could kind of, test a little bit more. But when you're doing $20 a day, $25 a day, $30 a day, $10 a day. You really want to be particular with your placements and where you are placing your ads. So now we're getting into the actual ad setup and how I did this, right? So I told these owners what works good on an ad and they hit it on the dot. This is a artist intro, just stating who he is, what he specializes in, where he tattoos out of, and it worked really, really well. It brought in a ton of leads. Most of my ads are going to be voiceovers, they're going to be single images. Carousels work decent, but the bread and butter is going to be single images and videos that will catch somebody's attention and keep them watching. People's attention spans are too short to be scrolling on carousels, right? So now we're gonna go down to the primary text. I just had ChatGPT type something up here, which is like I usually do, and obviously, I'll edit it a little bit to my liking and then throw it in there. I like to keep it anywhere from like 4 to 5 sentences, not too long, not too short. Something most people aren't going to really read it. And you want to keep that first sentence super, super like eye catcher, right? So, Toronto, we got 3 spots left for this month. Now I'm using urgency. Did they have 3 spots left for that month? No, but I'm using urgency and I'm making people think like, "Oh, shoot, I got to book now before I lose these, these last spots." So, that always worked really well and that's something you could throw up in your campaigns. Now, in this campaign, as you can see, I did not do that much testing, right? Like I have 3 ads total. I did not need to do as much testing because I had already found a winner, right? You don't want to fix what's not broken. There's no reason for it. Yeah, you can always test on top of, scaling your winner, but this specific studio had a limited budget, so I didn't want to do too much, right? We were already bringing in leads, we were already bringing in money, so there was no reason to do extra stuff. So that's something to always think about. When you find a winner, just scale it. And then when you are testing different creatives, just pretty much use that same winner, but tweak it just a little bit, right? Again, do not fix what isn't broken. So that is pretty much how I set up my campaigns every single time. And that's how I get the same exact results every single time. If you're a tattoo artist or a tattoo studio owner, you're struggling to get bookings, you're tired of relying on the algorithm, tired of relying on boosted posts, I'll link my IG down below. Shoot me a DM on there and we'll see if we're good fits for each other.